Hey guys, Spartan85 here. I wanted to bring you guys 10 quick tips for either newer players or veteran players that maybe you forgot or maybe just need a reminder of, but these tips should make you a little bit better of a player in Phasmophobia and maybe not die quite as much. Although if you're like me, you just die a lot. My first tip is don't be afraid to pack it up and leave. If you have a ghost that is just not giving you evidence, maybe the Spirt Box is just not working, maybe you have a demon, whatever, you just can't get that last piece of evidence, or maybe you just got in and you know it's a demon and you need to get the heck out. It's okay to just choose a ghost and get out. Choose one. Maybe you have some evidence. Maybe you have ultraviolet. Maybe you have dots. Something like that. Choose one. You know, maybe sometimes the Goryo is, maybe you don't have the camera in the right spot and you're not picking up the dots or something like that. Just choose a ghost and get out. It's better to do that than die and lose a bunch of money. At least you'll come out if you have a slight chance of getting the ghost right. And if you have some pictures and you found the bone, at least you'll get a little bit of money. And you never know, maybe you completed a weekly task or a daily task and you'll get some money that way too, but it's better than losing a ton of money. All right, next tip is try to learn each ghost's special trait. Now, some of them are much easier to see or hear than others, and some are very obvious and some aren't. But if you can try to learn some obvious ones, that'll really help you narrow down some of the ghosts and you can mark that ghost off the list. Just a couple examples. A poltergeist is always known to throw stuff. You can actually make a polty pile on the ground and put a bunch of items together, and sometimes he'll kind of explode the items and throw them across the room, but he's also the ghost that likes to throw things across the room a lot. A demon is known to hunt at 70% sanity, so if you have a very early hunt, first of all, hide. I usually die because of that, but if you have a very early hunt, go check your sanity. If you're above 50%, you most likely have a demon. The yokai is known to interact with voices. Now on console, we really don't have much of that opportunity because the mics really don't work that well, but on PC, if you have a ghost that isn't doing a lot and then maybe you use your mic or push to talk and then it does something, try that a couple more times, see what your sanity does. Maybe have somebody in the truck watch your sanity as you talk. That could be a yokai. If you have a very quiet ghost when it's hunting, it might be a myling. The Raiju is the electronic ghost. He sucks power from electronics, so the more electronics you put in the room, the stronger he gets and the more the sanity you drop. So if you have a lot of electronics in the room, that could be a Raiju. That's kind of a hard one to find. The Wraith is the one that doesn't step in salt prints or make footprints, so if he has salt down for a while and he doesn't step in salt prints, you can put a candle in the middle of the salt and see if he steps in the salt prints, but they will never leave a footprint. Banshee is the ghost that's known to scream, so if you have a parabolic and you hear a shriek or kind of like a scream, that's a Banshee. Yuri is the one that likes to slam doors, maybe in the ghost room and your door slams, that might be a Yuri. Hantu is the cold ghost. It's very strong when it's cold. It likes cold temperatures. Freezing temps will be a clue, and it gets stronger the colder it gets. The Obake will always have UV, and it'll have 6 fingers when you look at it. You cannot hide from a Dio, so if it's during a hunt and it finds you in your hiding spot and you have all your electronics off, you might quickly check a Dio. The Djinn will turn lights off but never kill the breaker. If you have a ghost that have not killed the breaker yet, you might have a Djinn. Take the EMF detector, put it against the power box. If you have EMF 2, you have a Djinn. A Shade can only hunt at 35%. So if you haven't had a hunt for a long time, or once you finally get to 35% and it's a Shade, or I'm sorry, if it's a hunt, then it's a Shade. A Goryo, you can only see dots on the camera itself. So if you have one person in the room that does not see dots and the person in the truck sees dots on camera, that is the Goryo. The twins have kind of been known to throw things at the same time in the ghost room or affect a different room. So if you have a lot of different stuff going on at the same time, it could be twins. The Mimic will always show ghost orbs. Keep that in mind. And then the Thay gets weaker as time goes. It's very active at the beginning and then it gets weaker and quieter and just, yeah, that's what it does. Tip number 3 is look at your settings for your audio. What are you set at? I like push to talk. On console, you have to use L1 or R1 to talk. Make sure it's not set to voice activation unless that's what you want. Just keep in mind that during a hunt or something like that, the ghost can hear you. Now on console, the debate's still out, but on PC, and you have a mic hooked up, it will hear you. So make sure you're set to push to talk or even toggle if you want. You can go, the other setting is toggle. But on console so far, if you do have, what I've noticed on voice activation, if it is on, the ghost can find you. It can hear you. It just doesn't interact very much back with you, but it will find your location if you're talking. My next tip is try to figure out the difference between a hunt and an event. A hunt, the front door will slam, it'll actually lock, and then it'll close. It's almost like a double close per se. And of course, the light switches won't work. The ghost may be singing or humming and coming towards you, and you'll hear footsteps too. An event, usually the ghost is in one spot. It's just standing there looking around or blinking. It's not moving. Sometimes it will come towards you. Most of the time, the front door will be open. And events usually only last about 5 seconds. And how to tell when the hunt is done? Well, most of the lights are done flashing. All the lights are off, and you don't hear footsteps anymore or singing or whatever. It's just quiet. Sometimes you gotta turn your flashlight on and see if it's still blinking, because when it is blinking, that'll tell you it's a hunt also. Also, during a hunt, make sure that all electronics are off. You can still have them on your person, but make sure they're all off. My next tip is, well, turn on the breaker first and then turn on lights, especially the route from the ghost room back to the truck if you can. That little time walking from the ghost room to the truck, that is a great time to save your sanity. If you're in a dark room or a dark house, your sanity is dropping as you're doing whatever you are. So, and I understand keeping the lights off in the ghost room. I normally do that so you can see ghost orbs or dots a lot easier, but everything else, turn the lights on, especially your trip back to the truck. You can save a lot of sanity that way, especially if you're playing solo and you have to make multiple trips back and forth. That can really help your sanity. My next tip is try to get that perfect hunt if you can. And if you don't know how to give a perfect hunt, is you have to have all your photos on the board or your journal filled up. They have to be 3 stars. All these will have to be 3-star photos. And then you have to do your objectives. So capture a photo of the ghost, cleanse the area with incense, and then prevent a ghost from hunting with a crucifix. Knock those 3 out. You also have to find the bone. And the bone counts as a picture, as a 3-star photo, so take a picture of it before you pick it up. But especially on like intermediate, you can usually get an extra $225 just by doing the perfect hunt. That's a lot of money. If you do those several times in a row, you can rack up a bunch of money. And yes, sometimes the optional objectives are tough, especially when you have to use an incense while it's chasing someone. That can be hard for newer players. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. Get out while you can, just like the first tip. Get out and live to fight another day. My next tip is, as you are going through the house, especially when you first enter, is scout hiding places. Look in all the rooms for hiding places. Sometimes behind the crib, sometimes behind the fridge. As long as you can block line of sight. It doesn't even have to be like an actual hiding spot the devs made. As long as you can block line of sight somehow by the ghost, you can check lockers, you can check closets. Now, if you're in a situation where you have no hiding spot and the ghost has started hunting, close the door and just try to get behind whatever you can. The ghost still has to travel around objects like beds or boxes or whatever. He still has to travel around that stuff. Try to keep as much distance as you can between you and the ghost, and maybe put some obstacles between you and him. And when in doubt, you can always loop him. Find a table or an island and loop the ghost in a circle until the hunt is done. My next tip is to bring the video camera in early. This is something I don't do a lot of, and I'm trying to get a little better at. Sometimes I'll bring the flashlight, the camera, the EMF, or the thermometer early. But also think about bringing the video camera. One, you can look for ghost orbs really fast if you find the ghost room, or the ghost orbs can tell you it is the ghost room. And then once you find the room, you can go ahead and set the camera down and then go back and look for ghost orbs in the truck while you're there. My usual loadout, honestly, is a thermometer or an EMF detector, a photo camera, and then a flashlight. But I'm trying to get better about bringing the video camera in also, or instead of the thermometer, just to maybe, because a lot of times you can find the ghost room just by hearing the ghost make a noise, manifesting itself, or throwing objects. My next tip is bring a crucifix in early. Usually my second trip back to the truck, I am bringing in a crucifix. If I know exactly where the ghost room is, I'm bringing a crucifix down and I'm putting it down. That really helps in case you do have a demon. That'll help you. That'll also tell you that you have a demon. If that crucifix burns at 70 or 65%, you have a demon. You can check demon right away. It also, if you happen to have a ghost that's draining your sanity somehow a lot, or an event happens, or maybe you use the cursed object and your sanity goes down to 50, having a crucifix down early will really help out a lot. And this last tip I'm going to throw in, guys, is probably the biggest comment I've been getting from consolers is how to use the Spirit Box. Does it work? Is it broken? What do we do? Just make sure you have all of the lights off, including your flashlight. Make sure you don't have any lights on in a nearby room also. It has to be completely dark. Also, you can try closing the door, although I don't need to close the door to get a response on the Spirit Box. Just make sure all the lights are off. Now, the little light will blink on the Spirit Box to tell you that it's working. That is not a response. It's just saying that it's picking up what you're inputting. That's all it's saying. Also, go to different parts of the room. Try at one corner, try another corner, try the center, whatever you got to do. If you're in a tiny little bathroom, maybe go out into the dining room or go to a different room. Just try multiple spots. Don't stand in the same spot. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy these tips. I'll have more to come. Also, if I have several tutorials for console Phasmophobia, if you want to check those out. I have a current beginner's guide going on for console also, and I stream Phasmophobia. So if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, consider leaving a sub or checking out the other content. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.